Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining. I will talk about data science's role in improving UNHCR's population statistics. More specifically, how we use nowcasting and forecasting in the area of the forcibly displaced. So I will go through the UNHCR's official forced displacement figures to give you an idea of how what is currently the state and how data science can help. By then talking about our two main products, which are the nowcasting dashboard and the gravity model. And this is quite a lot for a short presentation, so I won't dive too deep into the products, but I'm very happy to answer any questions at the end. So UNHCR is currently publishing global official figures, which represent the latest numbers in the refugees, asylum seekers, internally displaced, and stateless people. And this comes in the form of a report that shows key statistical trends of what has changed in the past 6 months. And these global and mid-year trends are published twice a year. The mid-year trends are published in November, and the global trends, which show the end-of-year figures, are published towards June. So in June of this year, we will publish the numbers for the end of 2022. So as you can see, there's quite a lag of 4 to 6 months. So there's a gap where we don't know the situation of the global forced displacement. But yeah, it's important to keep in mind that UNHCR does have an operational data portal, which has up-to-date forced displacement figures for the major crises in the world or for specific countries. But it's just like the global figures that we don't have that are very up-to-date. So why does it take so long to get like these forced displacement figures? It's quite a process to get these because keep in mind it covers the entire globe, so every single country in the world. So every operation has to get the data from either the government or other sources, which might have a delay in itself, and then they have to send it to the regional office where it's checked and analyzed. And then it's fed back to them what needs to be changed. And this is basically a cycle that takes a while. And then it's sent to headquarters where it's validated again, reviewed again, and then it has to be confirmed by senior management. So this all takes a very long time, which explains the lag of 4 to 6 months that we experience when the trends are published. So I've already talked about the limitation, which is timeliness. So due to this publishing lag, it's very difficult to have a global overview of the forced displacement situation at any given time. And it's mainly descriptive, this global trend. It tells you the past situation, but it doesn't tell you anything about the future. So data science can help in two ways. One is nowcasting and one is forecasting. And we've used nowcasting to basically create this nowcasting dashboard, which where the aim is to give you an idea of the current forced displacement situation with a lag of just like 2 weeks. But before we dive into this, maybe you've never heard of the term nowcasting before. I hadn't really when I started. So what it refers to is it's usually a term that comes from meteorology and is often used in economics. And it refers to the prediction of the present or the very near future. And it's made up of the two terms now and forecasting. But why would we need to predict the present? I mean, we are in it. But some indicators, for example, in economics, might be the GDP or inflation rate, they take a while to be collected and published. So, but people would like to, economists or people in the government might want to have like an indication of what the current situation looks like. So in this case, the GDP or the inflation rate, or in our case, the forced displacement, are nowcasted to have an indication of how it is now. So this is you can see a screenshot of the dashboard. It's internal for now, so I can't show it, but it's a dashboard which shows the monthly refugee and asylum figures by country pair. So if you go on this dashboard, you will see, for example, now we're in April, so you would see the numbers for the end of March for the total refugee population and the total asylum seeker population. We just cover these two populations for now. And then if the user is interested, they can go down to the regional level or the country level or the country pair level. For example, if you're interested in understanding how many Syrians Germany currently has as asylum seekers or refugees. And the user can also download this data. And yeah, it also includes prediction intervals because this dashboard includes a mix of data, of actual data and estimated data. So in the case where we use models, we include the prediction interval to explain the uncertainty that comes with these estimates. And yeah, so this is what it looks like. But there's a lot going on behind this dashboard. So it took quite a while to be developed because the main and the first step was to identify the data sources for each country. So in the best case scenario, we can use the registration system from UNHCR. It's a system that basically registers asylum seekers and refugees and other forcibly displaced in the system, and this is maintained every day and is super up to date. So the countries that use the system, they have the refugee population and asylum seeker population in their system. So we can just like extract it from there and put it in our dashboard. But not every country in the world has the system. So we had to identify alternative data sources, such as government websites or government databases. And every month, this data is collected by using APIs or web scrapers or other code that automatically downloads the latest data set, and it's stored on our server. And then once we have all that data, we can see and decide whether we have to use models. So in the case where we have the data from the registration system, which is super up to date, we don't need to use any models. We just put it into the dashboard. But in the case where we use government websites, these are usually sometimes published with a lag. So for example, at the end of March, we just had data for some countries in Europe up until the end of January. For example, positive decisions that we need to use to calculate the refugee population. So what we do in that case, we use all the information we have of the positive decisions up until the end of January. And then we apply a model, usually like traditional models such as ARIMA or VAR. We're also looking into LSTMs to basically predict the end of February and the end of March. And yeah, every country is different. So this is all done like almost automatically. But we're also going to work with a data engineer soon who's going to build even more robust data pipelines. And this is then fed into the dashboard. And this cycle is repeated every single month. And just to give you an overview of what the Nowcasting showed at the end of 2022, this is what the refugee displacement looked like. It was, so you can see like a big circle in Europe where due to the Ukraine crisis, we had 15 million, roughly 15 million refugees. And you can also see a lot of refugees in Eastern Africa. And along with on the right-hand side, along with the countries with the largest refugee populations, such as Turkey, Germany, Poland, etc. But so one of the important things to think about is the accuracy, because our nowcasts aren't really valuable if they don't match up at all with the global and mid-year trends. So we always check the accuracy by comparing what we nowcasted and what eventually comes out in the mid or global trends. So the last comparison we did was with the mid-year trends. So we estimated the data for June 2022 and July of last year. And the mid-year trends that show the June 2022 figures came out in November. So like 3 months later. And we compared what we had, and there was just a difference of 1.2%, which is really good because it means now the Nowcasting is doing a good job. But this is just like at the global level. If you go down to more like to other levels, such as country level or data source, the accuracy is different. But it gives you an indication of which data source might need to be changed, which country might need to be changed, and etc. And the next comparison we will do is when the global trends come out relatively soon, like in a month or two. But this is, yeah, quite promising. Hopefully it's going to be like this next time as well. But yeah, there are a lot of challenges, obviously. First of all, because we use so many different data sources, every data source has a different data quality and different data methodologies. So you have to like read about how they actually collect their data and what it refers to. And also we have a lot of scrapers, but if there is a change to a data source format, then it's a problem because you have to change the code and re-update, and it happens quite a lot, unfortunately. So yeah, and then some countries publish their data but round it because the numbers are so small. So if you have rounded data, you lose information, and if you then have to apply a model to it, there's even more uncertainty around it. So there are different sources of uncertainty that come from different things, like rounded numbers, modeling, maybe different data quality, etc. And in some cases, we don't even have enough historical data to make accurate predictions. So yeah, where we don't have UNHCR's registration system, there might not even be a government website which publishes data on the forcibly displaced. So in that case, we have to use something else that I didn't mention before, but it's the gravity model that I'll dive into now. But yeah, just to recap, so the Nowcasting is a dashboard which publishes monthly refugee and asylum seeker populations for every country of origin and country of asylum. And this is updated every single month with a lag of like 2 weeks. And it seems to be quite accurate now, but it's a continuous work in progress. So we're always trying to either improve our models or find better data sources. But yeah, this is just a recap before we dive into the gravity model, which is another way data science is trying to help UNHCR. And before I explain what the gravity model is, I thought of explaining what UNHCR's planning figures are. And these are basically future estimates of the forced displacement populations in the next 3 years. So these are used for planning purposes to understand what our funding needs might be in the future, how much funding needs to be collected, and to plan for like resource allocation, like which regions will likely experience more forcibly displaced and need more resources, etc. So this is very important for planning purposes, and this is done by working with experts and the government, and just like sitting all together and thinking about what could happen in the future. And one of the things data science can help in that case is by building basically this gravity model that depends on a trade model, which forecasts annual bilateral flows between country pairs up to 3 years into the future. And this is based on push and pull factors, such as like socioeconomic variables, conflict variables such as deaths, geographical variables such as location of the country and how many other countries it borders with, etc. So the idea is that there are push factors that push people out of a country and pull them into another country. And this gravity model it's also a work in progress, but we have one, and it's used in a Shiny application which we built, which implements scenario building. And scenario building can be used by the operations that need to come up with planning figures by basically giving them a tool to play with. And they can check, for example, if the fatalities in Barbados in 2023 will rise by 30,000, how will this affect the forcibly displaced people that go out of Barbados and into Guatemala? Like, by how much will these increase in the next 3 years? So yeah, this is basically a tool that helps them in this planning figure discussion. But again, like with every model, there are challenges. And with the gravity model, so this model just includes refugees and asylum seekers and Venezuelans for now. So similarly to the Nowcasting, which just includes refugees and asylum seekers. And then as we use so many different factors, data availability, and we predict into the future, we need like forecasts of covariates, like the socioeconomic variables we use or the conflict variables. And it's really difficult sometimes to find these variables which have been forecast into the future, which we need to input into our model. And again, like with the Nowcasting, the timeliness of historical data availability is a problem and makes it very challenging. But yeah, this is also being developed even further, and we're thinking of going down to subnational level, which will be exciting, but also challenging. But yeah, this is just an overview of how data science is helping UNHCR with the Nowcasting, by giving you an overview of the current forcibly displaced situation, and with the gravity model, which forecasts how many forcibly displaced there will be in the future in specific countries. So that's it. Thank you for listening, and let me know if you have any questions.